4 years, Katt Williams has been warning people that something strange is happening in Hollywood. According to him, the industry may look bright and glamorous on the outside, but behind the cameras, there are secrets that most people never hear about. Now, all of a sudden, the internet has started to notice something unusual. Some of the biggest celebrities in the world have become very quiet, and fans are beginning to connect the dots.
Discuss it.
In interviews and comedy shows, he often hinted that the public only sees a small part of how Hollywood really works. The reason people are paying attention now is because some of the things he talked about suddenly seem to be happening. Fans started digging up old clips where Katt Williams spoke about powerful celebrities and how the industry protects certain people while targeting others like Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle was decapitated in front of us. They called him Pilot Boy because he had 19 pilots in Hollywood and everybody passed on him and said his show wasn't worth it. Then when he made $500 million, they said even though his contract said he should get half of it, they said he made too much for the contract to be valid, so we'll offer you 10% of what you made. You mean he made $500 million and they offered him 50? Yes. And he said, what do you think my fans are gonna say when they find out you offered me 10% of what I made you? And they said, your fans will believe that you're a crazy kid by the time you get home. He got on the flight in LA, and by the time he got to Ohio.
In those moments, he did not sound like someone who was just telling jokes. He sounded more like someone sending a message about the high levels of control in Hollywood and even in the government. The internet quickly noticed this. At the same time, another topic has been adding fuel to these conversations. The mystery surrounding Jeffrey Epstein and the documents connected to his case. Jeffrey Epstein died in prison, and the official story says it was suicide. But for years, many people, including his own brother, have questioned that explanation.
2 days before he killed himself, allegedly, committed suicide. You know what he did 2 days before he killed himself? Epstein's estate transferred $577 million into a trust he created 2 days before his death. And it was called the 1953 Trust. Why 1953? That's the year he was born. A little weird. 2 days before, kind of weird. Either you are like fully prepared, or it's a little weird. Remember how earlier we were talking about Bill Barr connection with the dad and all this other kind of little weird, Bill Barr in New York Times called him the ultimate cover-up general. New York Times called him that in 1992 when they were going through a complete different thing. Imagine Bill Barr's being called the cover-up general 33 years ago by New York Times. Damn! That kind of a reputation for this long? Bill Barr's role as Attorney General during Epstein is extremely significant. Why? Because some are calling this the ultimate potential intelligence cover-up. His background, past behavior in the context of Epstein's death led to many describing Barr as a CIA fixer or the guardian of the deep state.
But Mark, for you, it's personal. This was your brother. And just so everybody knows, Mark wasn't part of anything that his brother was doing in this regard. He's never been connected to it. There's never been a suggestion. It's not about that. But Mark, you do not believe what the administration, the Trump administration, is putting out about your brother now. Why?
Well, every time they say something or do something to try to quash the fact that he was most likely dead, they just put their foot further down their mouth. I mean, for instance, Katt Patel in the congressional hearing, he listed his credentials as a prosecutor and other such things, and he said that it was a. He said, it's when you see it. That's basically what he said. So the questions that popped into my mind was, first of all, number one, how many suicides has he seen? Number one. Two, is he a forensic pathologist? Does he have a medical degree? Does he have a certificate that he passed the CPR course? Does he have a Boy Scout merit badge for first aid? What is he basing his expertise on? Contrast that to Dr. Roman, who was a city pathologist who did the autopsy. She came out of the autopsy and said she couldn't call it a suicide because it looked too much like a homicide. Dr. Michael Bodden, who was there on my behalf, who witnessed the autopsy, also concurred that it looked more like a homicide. Now, was Katt Patel in the autopsy room? No. Was Katt Patel in the prison when they found Jeffrey? No, I don't think so. And if he was there, that raises even a bigger question. So every time they say something, when Katt Patel came out with that statement, I laughed at how stupid it was. And then they just released this video. This you're going to like. After the death, a few days after the death, Bill Barr, the Attorney General, said he saw that video and he saw that nobody went in or out of the chair And that convinced them it was a suicide. And I heard that and I realized how stupid that was, because no one could get to that door, go in, body, leave completely undetected. So that's like an asinine.
Court records, investigation files, and flight logs connected to the case of Jeffrey Epstein mention many different names. The problem is that a large part of those records is still hidden from the public. Some reports say that about 70 to 80% of certain documents are still redacted, which means big sections are blacked out. Because of this, many people online believe the full story has not been revealed yet. As more documents slowly come out, public curiosity continues to grow. One survivor, Lisa Phillips, even went on television and said she believes the full list of people connected to the case should be made public. She said, "No powerful person, no billionaire, no politician, and no celebrity should be above the law."
There are millions of files that haven't been released.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Well, as you've seen from the files that have been released, it's pretty dark and disturbing, and there's a lot of big names involved. And they have also redacted so many of the people that, and things that we should know.
And you know who many of those names are?
A lot of the survivors know who the names are, and some are a surprise to people too as well. And that I've always said it's not just in the United States, it's a global human ring. And there are many powerful people, government officials, financial institutions, universities, modeling industry, entertainment industry. There are so many people that are involved, which is why it's a big mess.
Statements like that only added more fuel to the internet's curiosity. Then people began looking back at different moments involving major celebrities. One moment that started going viral again was a clip showing Tom Hanks reacting during an award show when a joke about Jeffrey Epstein was made. His facial reaction quickly turned into a meme online, with millions of viewers watching the moment and analyzing it frame by frame.
Watching this show, that's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
To be clear, many rumors are spreading on social media, and not all of them are confirmed. But that has not stopped the internet from debating every small detail. Another reason fans are talking is because Tom Hanks has reportedly canceled several public appearances recently. Events that were supposed to include interviews and audience questions were suddenly called off. His team has not said that the cancellations have anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein, but on the internet, silence often creates even more questions. Another celebrity who keeps getting mentioned in these conversations is Leonardo DiCaprio. There are many jokes about him, and the most common punchline has always been about his well-known pattern of dating women under the age of 25. It is something the internet has joked about endlessly.
Once upon a time in Hollywood, nearly 3 hours long, Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him. So... even Prince Andrew's like, "Come on, Leo, mate, you know, you're nearly 50, son."
But beneath the humor, some viewers say the repeated jokes made them raise their eyebrows. They started wondering if there could be more to Leo's behavior than what people usually see. Some think it might be possible, especially since Leonardo DiCaprio was also, at one point, friends with Sean Diddy Combs.
Okay, so you're having a party. What song do you kick it off with?
Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick, The Show. You have to try that one.
Now, you've gone on the record saying that your white party is up there with the top 3 that you've ever thrown for people. What are the other 2?
I would say when I got my star on Hollywood, I had a party. And this year at Burning Man at an undisclosed location.
And if you've had to recall the most lavish, over-the-top, outrageously extravagant decoration on display, what would it be?
One time I had the Declaration of Independence in one of my 4th of July parties. It was a 4th of July white party. And the white party's coming back this year, by the way, for charity.
Yeah, it's great to hear, and I'm sure that's probably not public information yet, but who's the person that's number 1 on that invitation list?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
And I can get on that list,
yes,
right?
Yes, without a doubt, you are invited.
That is so generous of you. Cheers to that.
See you at the white party, and happy holidays to you and yours.
And that is why Leonardo DiCaprio's name started trending again when discussions about Jeffrey Epstein resurfaced. Then the spotlight moves to another huge name, Oprah Winfrey. For decades, Oprah was one of the most powerful voices in media. She built an empire by appearing in millions of living rooms every day through television. But recently, People have noticed that she has been much quieter in public conversations. Online discussions claim that some Epstein survivors refer to a figure they call the broker, someone who allegedly helped connect young girls with wealthy and powerful men. In some online circles, that label has been linked to Oprah.
Man, I want to talk to y'all about Oprah Winfrey. Yeah, that's right. Oprah Winfrey. That wealthy heifer with the ugly feet. Yeah, her. We got some news about Oprah Winfrey. We got information that's real telling. Oprah Winfrey's private jet went to Epstein Island reportedly 11 times. Yeah, 11 times. Now, why would your airplane be on Epstein Island, Oprah Winfrey? Huh? It didn't have nothing to do with them girls that came up missing at your school out there in Africa, right? Yeah, we ain't forgot about that. All them girls that came up and missing, where the hell they at, Oprah? All that money you got, you ain't found out what happened to them? I got a pretty good idea what happened to them. Just like all the rest of them. End up on them damn islands. Yeah, you and what's that motherfucker that got arrested and got convicted? That little movie producer. I forgot his name. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all was best friends. How you become best friends with a pedophile? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I see it's a reason why you don't have no kids. Is it because you can't have none? Or you don't want none? Or you afraid if you do have one, you might around and give your own kid away and wind up on that island?
That is a huge accusation, and it has not been proven, but the seriousness of the claim is exactly why it keeps spreading across the internet. There is also another situation that people keep mentioning. Years ago, Oprah Winfrey publicly supported a Brazilian spiritual healer named Yam Tira Diaria, widely known as John of God. She promoted him on her platform and helped bring him to a global audience.
I wasn't sure would ever happen. One of the most famous spiritual healers in the world rarely talks to anyone on camera. John of God agreed to sit down with me under a mango tree on the grounds of the casa. A group of his patients gathered to watch. John of God speaks only Portuguese, so Heather Cumming helped translate. Ready, guys? You describe yourself as a spiritual medium. What does that mean, a medium?
Médium, eu sou espiritualista.
As a medium, he's a spiritualist. He believes a great deal in God, and he practices this mission already 55 years.
Born on a farm to a family who rarely had enough to eat, João Teixeira de Faria was the youngest of 6 children. His father was a tailor. His mother, a housewife who also ran a small hotel to make ends meet. João left school when he was 7 to work in his father's tailor shop. To this day, he cannot read or write. As a boy, João says he realized he was clairvoyant when he predicted a terrible storm that destroyed a neighboring village. This event began his journey as a spiritual medium.
Later, that same man was convicted of serious crimes related to his operations and received a sentence totaling nearly 400 years in prison.
If it were all just a show or some form of entertainment, there would be no harm. But we've been investigating this man's practices around the world and have found a sinister history of police investigations, sexual allegations, and secret recordings. It would appear that this man who says he's doing God's work is anything but godly.
Later, that same man was convicted of serious crimes related to his operations and received a sentence totaling nearly 400 years in prison.
This is a photo taken in Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan townhouse. It seems to show a doctor performing a medical procedure on Mr. Epstein's dining room table. We looked through about 15,000 records from the Epstein files to understand how Jeffrey Epstein cultivated and rewarded a small circle of doctors as a means of control over the women in his orbit. Mr. Epstein dictated when these women got plastic surgery, even when they went to the gynecologist. And he could also take medical care away In some cases, you also see the doctors help Jeffrey Epstein maintain that control over these women's lives. Here's one really striking example. Jeffrey Epstein is flying back from his island in the Virgin Islands to New York with a young woman who has suffered a really serious injury. He reaches out to somebody named Eva Dubin, a former girlfriend of his, and the founder of the Dubin Breast Center at Mount Sinai. And he says, this woman fell off the ATV and needs stitches in her forehead. Can you organize? She responds, okay, Jess Ting, a plastic surgeon at Mount Sinai, is standing by. Call me as soon as you land. And then you see the next day from Jeffrey Epstein, Dr. Ting put 35 stitches in her head, laid out on the dining room table. And that brings us back to this photo, which appears to be of Dr. Ting. Dr. Ting declined comment on this photo. When we talked to medical experts, they said, there's no way you do this if you were putting the patient's needs first. If you were doing that, you just take her to the hospital. There's much more equipment, there's many more people, the risk of infection is lower. But the only reason you do this is if you were putting somebody else's needs first. We see again and again doctors in these files bending or breaking the rules of their profession, and often they treated Epstein as if he was the real client. They shared patients' private information with Jeffrey Epstein. In this email, one of the women connected to Mr. Epstein expresses to Epstein that she's uncomfortable with this arrangement. And Epstein writes back to say, this is how it is. These doctors know that I'm paying. They want to keep me happy. And these doctors benefited from their relationship with Mr. Epstein. He gave Mount Sinai over $375,000 in donations, including gifts to Dr. Dubin's Breast Cancer Center and $50,000 to Dr. Ting's cancer research. Other doctors got high retainer fees and introductions to his celebrity friends. He even bought a few of them $900 Apple Watches. We reached out to all the doctors listed in our story. Dr. Ting and Dr. Dubin told us that they had never witnessed anything they believed to be criminal conduct by Mr. Epstein. Still, Dr. Ting told us that he deeply regrets his association with him. Mount Sinai Hospital told us that they formed a committee to investigate the hospital's ties to Mr. Epstein, and they would take any appropriate action that resulted.
Next, the internet turns its attention to Jay-Z. This situation caught people's attention for one very clear reason: numbers. Reports say that Jay-Z and Beyoncé together lost around 10 million followers across their social media platforms in a short period of time. That is not a small drop. 10 million people don't disappear overnight by accident. For many observers, it looked like fans were deliberately stepping away. The reason some people link this to Jeffrey Epstein comes from a document connected to the investigation. Specifically, a 2019 FBI crisis intake report recorded a phone call made to an FBI tip hotline. According to that report, an anonymous woman alleged that around 1996, she was abducted from her home and later woke up in what she believed was Epstein's mansion in Florida. She said she found herself in a room with two men, film producer Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z. The two certainly used to be friends. The woman claimed that she had been there, but her memory of the event was fragmented. She alleged that while Jay-Z was present in the room, Harvey Weinstein assaulted her. Again, this claim comes from an anonymous tip and has not been verified in court. However, some have long alleged that Jay-Z was involved in this world.
Jag, with Jay-Z and his situation, as far as the early Jay-Z, you see him with Aaliyah Young, of course, goes to Dame Dash next. You see him with Foxy Brown. You see the maturation of Beyonce and him getting with Beyonce. You see Rihanna at a young age. Is it more so, and you were young as a singer, is it more so that, you know, when you're in this industry, men are going to most likely talk and date their peers? And it's just that technically all the new rising stars at that time
are babies.
Were just young women, just young kids. Babies.
Being ran around by grown men. Babies. I got offered my first record deal when I was 13 years old. I got offered another one when I was 15. I'm so grateful that my father said no. I ended up not signing a record deal until I was in my early 20s. And as young as that is, looking back now, at least I was a legal adult. Most of these girls, they get moved around and touched around very early on. And, you know, and the people that have control of everything are untouchable. So how do you argue with that? How do you argue with that? Imagine a teenage girl in a office along with someone that says either you're going to sign this contract or you're going to go out the window. Like, even as a joke, that's not cool.
Then there is a broader pattern that people are noticing. It's not just the names appearing in files, it's what some celebrities are doing right now. Many observers say it looks like a quiet exit strategy. Selling houses, leaving the country. And just when people thought the conversation around the Jeffrey Epstein files couldn't get any bigger, another major development appeared. A new batch of documents was released by the United States Department of Justice. Inside those records were notes from interviews connected to the Epstein investigation.
The Justice Department released a batch of previously unreleased documents from the Epstein files that include notes from FBI interviews with the woman who says she was assaulted by President Trump as a... In interviews with the FBI, the woman alleged she was assaulted by Mr. Trump in the 1980s and that she was also a victim of Epstein's. The documents were released after multiple news outlets discovered they were missing from the initial mass release of files. For more, we're joined now by our Justice correspondent, Ali Rogan. So, Ali, tell us more about what's in these documents.
Jeff, these documents are known as 302 files. They're summaries of 3 interviews the FBI conducted with this accuser, in which she alleges that Epstein brought her to meet Trump sometime between when she was age 13 and 15. She details in very graphic terms Trump's alleged against her and how she fought back. She also says she had 2 additional interactions with Trump, but before she expanded on that any further, she asked if she could go on to another subject. During the last interview with the accuser, the FBI asked if she would be comfortable sharing more about her contacts with Trump. She said at the time that she didn't know what the point would be when there was a strong possibility nothing could be done about it, and it's unclear, Jeff, if there was any additional follow-up after that last interview.
Why weren't these documents initially released?
These 3 summaries are actually part of a set of 4, and that other document was released as part of that initial major tranche we saw in late January. That summary was an interview in which the accuser focused on Epstein and didn't mention Trump. These others, of course, mention the Trump allegations. Reporters caught this discrepancy because descriptions of all 4 summaries of the interviews were included in a list that was given to attorneys for Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. In a statement released on social media, the Department of Justice said the interviews had been incorrectly deemed duplicative and were subsequently published. The DOJ also says that the unredacted versions of the documents will be available for members of Congress to review, but reporters have noted that even still, there are additional documents that remain.
Why do these documents remain missing? Who are they protecting? What are they hiding? Will we ever find out? Share your thoughts in the comments below.